Why did it have to be a little person with their little bowed out legs, like grabbing the sandworm and like wrestling it?
It was definitely a little person because her top half looked normal, and then she stood up and walked. It was like a wobble.
Well, she had some. I don't know what was going on with her legs, man. Like from certain shots when it was like a close up on her, or like, a medium like chest up shot, I was like, oh, it's a normal sized person, And then when they do the wides, I'm like, nah, not so much.
She's Oompa Loompa size.
I mean,
maybe a double XL Oompa Loompa. But that's why he cast her, right? How do you elevate a scene even more? You already got a baby worm. That's weird enough. But then, not saying she's weird, but you get what I'm saying, folks.
No. But you want to give it like an air of mystery, and you know what I mean? Like, not just some schmuck wrestling a worm.
It's different.
This broad might be a little person, but she's going to wrestle the fuck out of that worm. You know what I mean? Like, she it's not that kind of movie.
And I'm sorry, she extracted worm piss. I like to think of it as worm piss. Paul's they're in the water sports. Paul and it's only fitting. You stick your hand down the asshole mouth of a worm, you extract some piss. Full circle.
Is that the prostate? The prostate
exactly.
gland. That's what you get out.
The prostate popcorn bucket. That's the butter. That's your butter, my friend.
Man, now I know what the opening portion of this episode's gonna be.
In a world of bad movies, two follically challenged men will stop at nothing to share their opinions of them. Their wives are tired of listening. But are you? This isn't the podcast you deserve, but it's the one you need. Prepare yourself for Bald Guys and Bad Movies.
Welcome to Bald Guys and Bad Movies. Once again, I am your host, Mike, here with my good buddy.
What episode is it, Mike?
Episode 76.
Okay.
Can we do that again, Troy?
Yeah, let's roll from the top.
Okay. Man, I liked that intro too.
I can cut it.
It's all good. No, I'm good. I can do it again. I'm a professional.
Oh, we can keep we could do it, redo it, but I can keep the if it's funny.
We'll see how it works. You have it, but I'll go again. Welcome to Bald Guys and Bad Movies, episode number 76. I am your host, Mike Stella. And with me today, as always, is my very best friend. What? Oh, God.
As written.
Oh, Jesus.
It is me. It is I, Troy. As I do my electric boogaloo, the electric slide across the desert towards the mic.
That's about right.
The stanky leg.
Were we doing podcasts when Dune Part 1 came out?
Good question. I don't know if we were.
I don't know if we were either,
2020. It was during the pandemic.
I feel like we would have done Dune if...
I'm pretty sure we weren't doing it during the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, this wasn't the beginning of the pandemic because it was towards the end because I saw it in the theater.
No, I thought it was 20...
It was like December 2020 or something.
Well, the first year of the pandemic.
Yeah, but it was like when they were starting to open shit up and like you could go see movies with masks on and stuff.
Yeah.
It looked like a bunch of Fremen sitting in the audience. So,
hey, have you seen that viral thing with the dude? He's dressed as a Freeman. Is it Freeman or Fremen?
Fremen. Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie, motherfucker. You saw it twice, so you should know better than I.
Barely.
But he's like, he's got like the scooter dressed up as the worm.
Oh, I think I have seen that.
And he's scooting across the AMC lobby and across town.
I think I have seen that.
If not, you gotta definitely.
I gotta check that out. Maybe I haven't seen it. Maybe I just saw a picture of someone on like with a worm, like it was him on a worm.
You got to see it because he has the.
That's funny.
music and
they gotta do like, you know how they have all like those Halloween costumes where it's like a guy riding a dinosaur or something with like the little teeny legs. They gotta do like
it's gonna be off the chain.
A Fremen riding a worm.
Fucking Dune cosplaying. As far as I can see.
So if you guys haven't guessed it, we are doing the blockbuster sensation Dune Part 2.
You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades. My family's been fighting them for centuries. They were massacred alongside my father.
Your father didn't believe in revenge.
We believe in Fremen.
Let me fight beside you.
I won't be fighting for him. I'm fighting for my people.
Do you believe in Paul?
There are signs.
The prophet. Why is that a bad thing? Use it.
Because all my visions lead to horror.
Because you lose control.
Because I gain it.
Paul Atreides is still alive.
Look who's back from the dead.
I will do what must be done.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
As long as I breathe.
This prophecy is how they enslave us!
It's not a prophecy. It's a story.
I don't care what you believe. I believe.
I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis. Under the Messiah's under!
He who can destroy a thing has the real control of it.
Right. We're reaching our hand deep into that mullet of that popcorn sandworm.
Oh my God.
Pulling out some nuggets.
Extra butter. Hold the popcorn.
Of observations.
That's the big meme nowadays.
They were sold out at my theater, man. I was so disappointed. You saw the Saturday Night Live skit, right?
I don't know if I saw the Saturday Night Live
Holy
skit,
shit,
but everyone's doing like
there's a whole
jokes
song
about
they created about it.
Oh my God. You gotta throw a bit of that in here.
Shades of Lonely Island.
Oh my God.
My dick in a box. It was.
Oh my God.
It's a good successor to that.
Can't wait to see Dune 2, eating popcorn out of my bucket. Then I'll take it home and
Before we get into the movie, I just want to say how much I love a movie like Dune and books that have been around forever, right? Once the domain of nerds. And then there was the 84 David Lynch movie, which I quite like.
I love that movie.
People shit on it, but it exists in its own little category.
I got a hot take for all this stuff. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. But I just want to say I enjoy when something breaks through and becomes like a sensation. And it's not like a fucking Marvel movie or DC movie.
Right.
Or, The Usual Suspects. Something that's actually intellectual, layered and deep science fiction story.
Right.
And it's an embraced. Like my kid, he's like so fucking into Dune now. I'm like, well, why don't you read the books, dude? Yeah, I should. Yeah, you probably fucking should, man. Like it gets trippy from what I've read and you've told me. I've only read the first book or listened to the first book.
Fourth book is takes place 1,000 years after the first book.
Yeah, I've watched some videos deconstruct Dune and where it goes. And before I forget, the good news is Denis Villeneuve, he's writing the third one now. So it's all but confirmed that he's going to do it.
But he's only doing the third one. I hear he's not doing the next book after.
He would like it to be a trilogy, and it's really the Paul Atreides.
Right.
It's kind of the end of his story, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dune Part 2 is an epic science fiction film directed and produced by Denis Villeneuve.
You can pronounce that, but you can't pronounce Fremen.
I didn't fucking remember, dude. I mean, it's minus one E. Just call him Freeman, for fuck's sake.
Man.
Freeman, get out of here.
This fucking guy.
Frank Herbert. adapts the 1965 novel Dune by Frank Herbert and follows Paul Atreides as he unites the Fremen people of the desert planet Arrakis to wage war against House Harkonnen. So it's not Timothy Chalamet.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I saw him on an interview. It's Timothy.
Is he American or is he Canadian?
He's American.
Exactly.
But like right after he said that, he was like, but call me Tim, Timmy, whatever you want to call me, it's fine.
Yeah.
So
right.
He wasn't all like pretentious or anything about it. Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, Charlotte Rampling, and Javier Bardem reprised their roles from the first film with Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken joining the ensemble cast. So, I mean, by now everyone's seen probably Dune Part 1. You know, get the gist of it. This is actually the continuation of Part 1, and this is where the shit really hits the fan.
And it picks up right where the other one left off.
Exactly where Part 1 stops, this picks up.
Yeah.
It almost felt like, Robin made the observation, I think, it felt like kind of two movies, because I guess there's a bit of a time jump in the middle where they've been out there quite a bit. And
yeah. When they're blowing up all the stuff, like about halfway through what might be considered right between Act 1 and Act 2, right around about an hour in, there's like a montage, not a montage, kind of like a mini montage, right? The music swells, you see a bunch of ships blow up, and then you realize that time has passed. I think his eyes start to get a little bit bluer.
You know, I liked Part 1. The only critique I had at the time, and maybe because I knew where the story's going to go, maybe if I didn't know the story, it would have been fine. I understand why they stopped it there, but it felt unfinished. Like a standalone film, it definitely felt like a Part 1. And sometimes for a Part 1, you can end it where the Part 1 feels like a complete fulfilling journey. It almost feels like the time jump could have been where they started Part 2, right?
Well, personally, I think they should have shortened Part 1 a little bit and not had that fight with Jamis, and basically end it at a part where like the music swells up at the end and he like stares over at the burning
Atreides compound
and just show him like, you know, looking in that way angry, and then cut to black, like, and that way it would have felt a little bit more ended, and you'd have felt like, oh, shit's about to pop off.
That's a higher emotional value moment.
Yeah, the fight with Jamis at the end of Part 1 was so like anticlimactic. It just felt
you
like
don't know like you don't
care
what the stakes are, what this really matters. You just met these people, this character, he kills one of them, and then the end. It's not like that character was a villain, right?
Right,
like
exactly.
It's different. So, okay, it wasn't just me. I felt when I saw Part 1, like, all right, but what do I fucking know?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
well, do you recommend Part 2?
Both movies are recommends to me. Part 1 and Part 2 are both recommends to me. That being said, I don't know what the deal is. Like, they both are very slow to me. Like, even Part 2 felt pretty slow to me at times. Like,
interesting.
I just wasn't, it didn't grip me. You know what I mean? Like, I saw it yesterday at 11:35 in the morning, and I was still
for the second time, by the way.
For the second time, and I was still nodding off every so often. And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, so I was nodding off. Was I really tired, or was it just like, or was I bored? You know what I mean? I kind of feel like if it was a really compelling movie, I wouldn't have been able to fall asleep if I'm watching it at 11:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I kind of had a long weekend. We had a lot of stuff going on. Like, I didn't go to bed that late.
Are you sure do you recommend theater viewing or home viewing? Because there's a difference, right?
I recommend it because I truly do enjoy the story. I think it's thought-provoking, and I find it interesting. I didn't find it fun. You know what I mean? That's a big thing that we always talk about. I want to go to a movie and have a good time. I want to be entertained. You know what I mean? I want it to grip me and not let me go till that film's over. You know what I mean? You've said multiple times that I said that I didn't like Endgame or something. You said like
You 100%, 1000% told me. Not when you first saw it. Upon later viewing, you said it doesn't hold up. That's what you told me.
Really? I said that?
Yes.
It's crazy to me that I would ever think that, because that's like one of my favorite movies. And that movie, maybe it's because I like all the characters so much, like, and I've been with these characters for so long. And also I just kind of feel like it's just so emo. Like, Dune is so emo, you know what I mean? And it feels pretentious to me in the way that it's saying like, this is an epic story. You know what I mean? Like, it's telling you that it's epic instead of just being epic. Well, you know what I mean? And that's how that's, and whether or not you agree with me, I just want you to want to know, do you understand what I mean by it's telling you it's epic as opposed to...
Yeah, what you're saying, I can completely see what you're talking about. The problem with me is I don't know, because if you know the story's going,
right,
already an element surprise removed.
True.
I'm looking at
maybe that's part
and I'm not
of it.
saying that's the case for you. I'm saying for me, like when I saw part 1, I know how fucking cool it gets, you know, later in the story. And I felt like this is all set up. Even Denise said it, like I think it was on Stephen Colbert, where part 1 is really just set up. And then part 2 is where all the fun happens.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
You really get into it. I mean, he himself said this.
It was like I had done all the homeworks in the part 1. I had like draw the sand, the board of we had designed the box. And now I had the chance to play with the sand. I mean, in the sandbox. I mean, it's like if I'd done all the homeworks of the exposition, explaining who's who and the backstory. And the second part is just a playground for cinema. I mean, it's like it's more of an action movie, much more momentum and sequences that are, I would say, it was much more difficult to shoot, but much more fun.
Looking at Logan didn't know the Dune story. I don't think he ever saw the original, the movie, the Lynch version, or Alan Smithy version, since he doesn't
Well, you know
own
what's
it.
so funny is, like, I loved that movie. Like, the original Dune, like, that's really what made me love Dune. Like,
I'm so happy you said that. I feel like I got to defend that fucking movie all the time, dude.
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally. People hate on it, but I fucking love it. In fact, I have more fun watching that movie than I do watching these, even though I can easily recognize that these are better cinema. But it's like when you look at a movie that is good, right? But it has that artistic sort of smear over it, that it kind of...
The long, epic, like, stairs into the sunset.
Exactly. It didn't have the pacing that I like. And, but not only that, like, I felt like I've said this before in so many movies, if I cared more about the characters, I probably wouldn't have needed a faster pace, right? But the fact that I didn't really care about the characters that much made me want it to move a little bit faster. One thing it did very well compared to the Lynch movie, though, is, and I realized this more upon the second viewing, it really makes you realize that Paul Atreides is not the hero, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, you realize that very, very much in this movie. And in the Lynch movie, it's like, oh no, he's the fucking hero. They're all cheering for him and happy. Like,
he makes it fucking rain at the end with his mind, I guess.
Exactly.
And how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
I like the fact that at the end of this movie, they're like, well, let's go kill a trillion people.
Right.
You know, and then they just get in the ships and fly off. Like, let's go commit some mass murder. Yay!
Oh, well, here's a fun fact. And I heard this from Frank Herbert's mouth himself. The reason why he wrote Dune Messiah. Is because everyone misinterpreted the first book.
Totally.
They saw Paul as a hero, and he completely was not.
Right.
So he wrote, I mean, it may not have been the only reason, but one of the main reasons he wrote it was to show that, no, the intention was always that Paul, you know, rising to that level was a bad thing. Be careful of people you worship, of your leaders.
Don't trust leaders to always be right. I worked to create a leader in this book who would be really an attractive, charismatic person for all the good reasons, not for any bad reasons. Then power comes to him. He makes decisions. Some of his decisions made for millions of people, millions upon millions of people, don't work out too well.
Like these days, fucking Trump or whatever. Like, they follow him off a cliff.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because ultimately, I think what this movie really talks about is that no matter if someone starts out good, when they rise to a position of ultimate power, they ultimately will become evil. You know, they will use that power to evil ends, even if they don't realize they're evil. And that's the whole thing. He knew that it was evil. He knew that if he rose to power, trillions of people were going to die. He saw it. He foresaw that him getting power means that there will be a holy war that sweeps through the universe and kills hundreds of billions of people. Like, he saw it. And he still went for it. I don't know. I mean, he did it just because that was the path he was on, or did he do it because it's better than the status quo? But to tell you the truth, I think the status quo was probably more peaceful than what was you know what I mean?
I thought the movie did a really good job. I'm not saying you're saying this, but I mean, not only just showing his reluctance and conflict, but also why he finally conceded. Because destiny was barreling down on him.
Right.
No matter what he did.
Totally.
He could remain inert. Death was coming. And he had everyone pressuring him to be this person. So he kind of was boxed out. He's very reluctant. He doesn't embrace it. And then, for what I understand, in this holy war, I don't see him unless in Dune Messiah, he leans into the evilness of it. Don't even see him as evil. I see him as he's a symbol now. Like he's symbolic. It doesn't even matter what he says or does. If he doesn't lead the charge or not, he's inspired this holy war.
I guess I'm not saying that he's evil, but evil acts will be committed because of the mantle that he has taken up.
But it's both. Like, there are people like him that will become evil. And then there are people that continue to try to do the right thing, but they're surrounded by power and corruption and evil people around them. So therefore, evil will be done. Like, it's like, it's
like January 6th, right? He didn't specifically say go raid that place, but his fervor and the people believing in him, they believed that they were in the right to go and storm the Capitol.
Yeah, when I read Al Franken's book when he was a senator, his first year there, he wanted to accomplish so much. Then he actually wrote, 80% of my time is spent raising money.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who I thought, I know he had every best intention in the world, but the machinations, the machine itself chewed him up. And, slow down, partner. That's not how we do that. We don't get things done. First, we raise the moolah.
That money is literally just to get reelected. Like, they're literally just asking people for reelection money. Like,
it's a constant cycle of reelection.
All day long, they're doing that. It's rough.
But I think in this case, unless, again, in Dune Messiah, he leans into it, but I don't think he will.
No.
And I know what happens to him. I don't want to spoil it.
In the book, he hasn't leaned into it. In the book, I'm just going to spoil it. It takes place 12 years later. You know what I mean? So he's already conquered the universe. You know what? He's already conquered the galaxy and killed billions of people. And he's basically just sitting on his throne, looking at the blood on his hands, was this the right thing to do? And basically the whole book is him just contemplating whether or not he should have done what he did. You know what I mean?
So when you saw Dune Part 1, I know we're talking about Part 2. I don't think we've ever really talked about Part 1. I know you were super fucking hyped.
I was super hyped. And that's another problem. And that's another problem. When I'm fucking hyped about something, I'm usually disappointed. It happened with The Creator. Whenever I'm super hyped for a movie, I usually walk out disappointed. My expectations cannot be met at that point, because I'm so fucking hyped for it. Except for Infinity War and Endgame. Those two I watched those and I was fucking blown away when I saw those. So
Well, something you said earlier about Dune, I like Part 2. I don't think I had as many problems that you had with it, but would I call it a fun movie? I mean, The Creator wasn't fun either.
Right.
I think sometimes directors, to be taken seriously,
they sacrifice the fun.
They sacrifice the fun to make it like a serious movie, a serious genre movie. And there's a place for that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying add fucking jokes into Alien or whatever. No. But even Alien had some humor. But
that's the whole thing. I felt like the biggest comic relief was supposed to be fucking Stilgar. Being a total fanboy of Paul Atreides was fucking stupid, because he came off as such a badass in the first movie. And then to show him as this kind of goofy dude like in the second one. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I did not like how he was just all over Muad'Dib's nuts. He was like, I want Muad'Dib's nuts. You know what I know? So.
Was he not like that in the book? Like, because I saw him as a true believer, not necessarily. I mean, yes, that is a fanboy, but
I just don't like, you can be a true believer and still have an air of, I don't know, not being like a goofball about it. You know what I mean? He just seemed like a goofy ass dude in the second movie.
Wow, I didn't get that at all. Goofy.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, he seemed goofy as hell to me in the second movie.
Well, he did provide comic relief because the whole theater cracked up. It is a great moment. Paul, he was saying, this is early in the movie, he was like, you know, I'm not the savior. I'm not Muad'Dib. And he's like, oh, look, he is so humble and great. Even he could not admit to it.
Yeah.
As written. That's a Trump supporter right there.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't matter what it said. They just like contort it to whatever they want it to mean.
And so there were parts where I thought it was funny, but I don't know. There were like towards the end when he was just like out of nowhere, he'd just go, Nisan al-Gaib! Like he would just have these like moments of freaking out about Paul Atreides.
But I think that's, maybe they should have dispersed it among others. Because maybe that's what it is, just coming from him. Because that conceit is needed for the end to work, the inspiration in the Holy War.
But I don't mind if they did that. But the way, like the look on his face, just it didn't match his character to me. And it's a little nitpicky thing, but he just felt like.
So is it more of a performance thing? You think a choice?
I felt like it should have been more like resolve happiness. You know, like he was excited that it was him, as opposed to like like a teen girl in awe of, you know, like BTS walking by, you know what I mean? Right. Like that's what it felt like to me, as opposed to, you know, a soldier seeing the military leader like walk by.
You want a manly appreciation instead of fangirl.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. And if they had done that during those moments, I felt like when he was funny, it would have hit a little bit better for me, because it would have had that a little bit more of you know, subverting your expectations situation. You wouldn't expect him to have these goofy little moments during the funny parts if he was a badass all the other times. You know what I mean?
You know who probably hit the sweet spot for you if the roles were reversed?
Gurney Halleck.
Josh Brolin. When he returned.
Yeah.
He was nudging, you know what I mean? He was like, this is what you need to do.
He was one of my favorite parts of this movie, of both movies. And he really did hit that sweet spot. I really thought he was the perfect balance between sycophant and badass.
Yeah, well, and he understood it was bullshit. But he was like, use it.
Oh, right.
Because I want revenge, baby.
How many men with you?
200.
200? Do you realize what you were able to achieve with 200 men? Incredible fighters. Duncan said there were millions of them.
In the Deep South. Yes.
Well, what are you waiting for? With thousands of these guys, you could take control of the entire planet. It's your father's dream. What are you afraid of?
And that's what I liked about this movie, is that all the off-worlders knew it was bullshit. And that's the whole thing. I really liked, like, mentally, analytically, I really liked this movie, right? When I think about it analytically, I really like this movie. It just didn't hit me in the feels, right? I didn't like it in my heart. I liked it in my head. Does that make sense?
No, total.
That's why I wanted to do this review so much. And you were saying, I don't know, it's probably just going to be a love fest. And I was like, it's not going to be. Like, I want to talk about this because I have a very like mixed feelings about this movie.
And I will say, and I don't know if this contributed to how you feel, because they wanted to be true to the book. They didn't want to cut out, and I'm sure they cut out some stuff, I'm sure, but television isn't what it used to be. Television can create really amazing stories. Game of Thrones, for example.
Absolutely.
And I said the same thing for Killers of a Flower Moon. It probably should have been a miniseries And this probably should have been a miniseries.
Well, one of my favorite Dune contents is the miniseries from back in the day.
Sci-Fi Network.
The Sci-Fi Network one with John Hurt, was it? And then
James McAvoy.
That was like the first thing I ever saw that dude in, and he was dope. And they went all the way up through the end of Children of Dune, and then they didn't do the next one. And I was so sad about that. I was like, bro, I wanted to see the next one so bad.
Your brain is set to a different frequency when it's television, at least for me.
Right.
The expectation is different. It's not less, it's different.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think when I see a movie, I want to have fun or be on the edge of my seat because it is a finite amount of time. I'm getting the whole thing in one dose.
Exactly.
So I want a ride, whether that's an emotional ride,
exactly,
or a visceral ride. When it's a TV show, it's episodic. I understand the nature,
and it can take its time.
That was a great thing about Game of Thrones. Like, there's some build up to a really epic episode. Then, you know, the tide breaks and you're back into character and build up to the next moment. Maybe this was what Dune needed to be, right? Like, it's great to see it as a cinematic thing. Like, it's, you know, it's amazing. You see it on a big screen.
I'm looking forward to seeing it at home. Like, let me just put it that way. I am looking forward to seeing it at home.
But if you took 1 and 2 and divvied it up as like a 6-part miniseries.
Oh, it would be great.
Yeah, like it for me, and maybe I'm just speaking about myself, it just puts it on a different shelf in my mind. Like, I'm not expecting complete fulfillment in one episode, right?
Totally.
So even though I know where the story's going, so already it's robbing me of,
right,
you know, and I know it so well because not just because I'm a fan of the book. I mean, I read the book, listened to the book rather, but it's more I'm a fan of the 84 film. Like, I grew up with that shit and I watched it over and over and over.
I love that movie.
And all the major beats, the most important beats are hitting that film. And I'm not missing any of the like slow, oh, how do they walk in the sand and all that. I mean, those are
exactly.
That's great little details, but
yeah, I felt like none of that really mattered. Like, they spent so much time talking about the sand walking, and while it's like it is important for them to survive doing that and to understand there are things they need to do, but I felt like, you know, you spend time talking about it in the first movie, you show it a little bit, and guess what? If people stop doing it when the second movie starts, or like are doing it much less, no one gives a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I would.
Well, it's a difference between world building and story building.
Exactly. Like, Jesus.
It's a great little world detail that in a miniseries would be, whoa, we have time to go into this. Right. That's the good thing about a series, is that you could have those little moments and they add a little bit of nuance and they're there. Like, and it can make you feel more attached. Right?
Totally.
But for me, cinema is more visceral, again, emotionally or like physically with action. So what do you think about performances?
I think everyone was great. Like, I really thought everyone gave great performances. You know what was funny? Like, the first couple times that Christopher Walken talked, I was like, oh, okay, he's not just being Christopher Walken. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, when he's sitting on the throne, he's like, hello. And I don't know what he just like, he does like, I don't know what he says, but I was like, oh, nope, he's Christopher Walken.
I don't think I want you to kiss my ring. Now.
Dude, it was so funny. I was like, oh, no, he's Christopher Walken. Damn it.
Well, Timothée Chalamet, or Little Timmy, as his friends call him.
Little Timmy.
Look, the kid has slowly won me over because he's not completely in the Ben Affleck category where I felt like he was shoved down my throat in the beginning. Like, all of a sudden he's everywhere. This is me. Like, suddenly I can't escape the guy. There wasn't like one specific role that I could point to say, oh, he's got the goods. That's why.
Right.
I saw Willy Wonka, and I thought that was actually fucking amazing. He did a really good job. So I highly recommend that to anyone. It's on HBO Max now, if you haven't.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
So
maybe
you should
I'll
get
watch
Noah
it.
to watch it too. Great fucking music in it, dude. So in this one, and in part one as well, the character of Paul Atreides is very understated. You know what I mean? Like, he feels neutral. He's in neutral mode and ingesting information. And it wasn't until, and I'm not saying it's a bad performance, but the character felt very passive for a long time.
Right.
And then when he drank the worm piss,
water of life.
Didn't someone call it worm piss?
Someone did, but what it actually is like they're kind of like the essence of the worm. So like when a young worm dies, when they drown a young worm, it spits out this fluid, and that is the water of life. And it's basically
What about an old worm? Like, did they ever kill an old worm? Would that be like a river of...
You can't kill an old worm. There's no way to kill an old worm. Old worms just die, and then they become spice.
Oh, but when you say you can't kill, you mean... Did they ever try to like destroy one or?
I don't think in any of the books ever.
Their hides impenetrable to, lasers and shit.
They are, I mean, maybe if it swallowed a nuke, you know what I mean? Like I would assume it would die, right? I mean, look, they can come up on those giant spice collecting machines and swallow them whole and have them explode in their mouths and they don't die. So, I mean,
got it.
They're pretty fucking indestructible.
So, when he drank the worm essence or whatever, he had to be a leader, and his performance changed because there's requirements that he needed as the character,
right?
And I felt he stepped into that role very well with the whole like speech in the underground, and like refusing to kill Javier Bardem, like fuck you, and I challenge all you motherfuckers.
You fucking idiots. Why would I kill this dude? He's like my number one bro.
It was like a rap battle for a second. Instead of a mic as a dagger, he just drops it. Ding! So, end of the day, he gave a good performance. It's just, he wasn't a protagonist that has you on the edge of your seat, right? Because he is playing a young lad. And
nothing had me on the edge of my seat in this movie.
What I'm getting to is, typically it's the protagonist, the hero, is the catalyst for things like that, right? Or things happening and him having to, even though there was like action, he always felt kind of like in the backseat. And that's because he didn't really want to be a leader for a long time.
Right.
And that is the story. But what you lose is the protagonist actively driving the plot as opposed to...
And what I found interesting was up until he drank the water of life, his visions were not clear, right? He just had these fleeting visions of the Holy War and millions of people dying if he took control. And then he drinks the water of life, which clarifies his visions. And now he knows that he's going to do these, his people are going to do these horrible things. Because he's seeing it clearly, and he's like, "Oh no, this shit's definitely gonna go bad. Let's go fucking do it." You know what I mean? Like at that point, he's super resolved, but which I still find interesting because it's like he's someone who's obsessed with revenge, and that's ultimately, I think, what the message is that if you're obsessed with revenge, like eventually you are going to kill way too many, like, you know what I mean? Like you will go, if you are obsessed with revenge, it's going to go bad.
Are you talking about
everyone.
In part 2 or the next chapter?
No, in part 2. Like he even says it in part 2. He says he wants to kill the Harkonnens and the emperor for killing his father. And then his mom says, "Oh, but your father wouldn't want that. He never agreed with revenge." He's like, "Well, I'm not my father, and I do believe in revenge."
I remember this. But see, here's the thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember him saying that.
But they don't beat it. But they don't really it's not like that apparent.
But his actions, he doesn't, like Josh Brolin has to really like cajole him.
I know.
And I felt like if he was that bloodthirsty, it would be more apparent. Like he would be.
And maybe that's what my problem is. And that's what my problem is with this movie. It feels disconnected, right? Like it doesn't feel like his character would, if he would do these things, he would want to do these things without anyone having to push him to do it. Because and he speaks about wanting to do them before anyone starts pushing him, when he's still kind of like in the back seat, right? So it's just weird to me. You know what I mean?
Here's the razor's edge. His character, and I think they could have improved on this. Because his beef is really with the Harkonnens.
Right.
And possibly the Emperor, right? But definitely the Harkonnens. The Fremen, they're just a means to an end. to get his revenge.
Right.
But in order to get that revenge, he's slowly being pushed into this role of Messiah, of the second coming. This fabricated myth, by the way, which is another nice touch.
Yeah.
It's just another system of control.
Yep.
He doesn't give a shit about the cause.
Right.
And that's where, and maybe he said it, but I felt, and this is where I get into Timothée Chalamet's performance. He played him so passive. He had moments of outbursts, like with his mother.
Yeah, and that came out of nowhere too.
But she had to pull that out of him. When you said bloodthirsty, I never got the impression that kid was bloodthirsty.
But that's my thing, is I didn't get the impression that he was bloodthirsty either, but I think that was something to...
He said it, but we should feel it. It doesn't matter what he says.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, while I liked this movie with my head and not with my heart, I felt like he was a character who thought things, but you never really saw that he felt them. You know what I mean?
There's an old great adage with revenge: dig two graves. One for your enemy and one for yourself.
And we should see that.
And when he finally drank the essence, I felt he was doing it because there should have been a conflict within him. Okay, if I do this, I'll get my revenge.
Right.
But then if I do this, I'll become what I know would be detrimental to the entire fucking universe. But revenge wins out. You see what I'm saying? And that is his flaw. Right.
And then it would make sense. And then you'd be emotionally connected to this character because it's a flaw that he has that you can connect with. He was always a little too perfect, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that he was able to control himself so much felt too perfect and made him very hard for me to connect with. Like,
especially since he's playing
a kid. He's supposed to be a teenager.
Think of the books, he's like 14 to 15, right? But let's just say he's 19. That's still too young to fully understand your emotions and shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
maybe that's really what it was. I just never connected with Paul. Like, they just played him too cool and calm and collected for a 19-year-old.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Who's had every comfort he's ever fucking wanted. You know what I mean? He's a royal. He's the heir to a giant dukedom or whatever it is, and it's just
he's the Paris Hilton of Dune.
exactly.
So when he says that's hot, he means the fucking weather.
That's hot.
Yeah, but totally, dude. Like, the hat trick is that the audience, and I said this about talk about analogy, but Revenge of the Sith. The challenge there is that the audience knows what's going to happen, and how do you get them to not want it to happen?
Right.
Whereas I felt they failed, and we were just like, okay, get on with it, become Darth Vader.
Let's just see what's going to happen.
Because you want the tragedy, right? And so with this,
I'm like, I have to watch this movie. You know what I mean? It's like every Marvel movie nowadays. I'm just like, well, I guess I have to watch this. You know.
So people that seen part one and don't know where it's going, they should want the revenge. It's like House Stark. You know what I mean? It's the Starks. You know, we have to get that revenge. And then the glorious rug pull is that, okay, you want him to have the revenge, but at the cost of billions. You still want that revenge?
Right.
And then for some of the audience to be like, ooh, maybe he shouldn't do that. No, but you've been rooting for him to have revenge. And guess what? He's going to get his revenge at the cost of billions.
And I don't feel like it got there.
That can lead people to have a second thought, you know, beyond the movie about the cost. You know what I mean? Like the movie can have greater meaning.
Absolutely.
I feel like now, even though I praise the new fandom and the renewed interest in this, I'm really happy they're going to do Messiah, because I'm unsure if some people got the message. Right.
No, and me too, because I felt like they did a much better job in this movie making it apparent that he's not the hero.
Right.
It still wasn't done as well as I feel like it should have.
I didn't feel the emotional cost to him at the end.
Exactly. But the problem is, it didn't feel that way in the book either, which is
why
exactly
he wrote
Dune. Exactly.
Oopsie. I need to drill down on this.
The fact that we feel this way might be because it's so close to the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there you go. And by the way, I still recommend it. I'm saying all this shit.
Me too. I still recommend it as well.
It is an intellectually enriching experience. And we haven't even tapped like Harkonnen world, and maybe we should get into that,
dude. Let's get into that, because that's the fun stuff.
That is fun. When Austin Butler shows up,
Austin Butler is a fucking amazing. Like,
and I wasn't like bored in the film, but I'm like, I know this kid is in it. I can't wait to see the Harkonnen planet. When he shows up, I'm like, yes.
The Harkonnens are great, and in this movie they pronounce it Harkonnens. Did you notice that they pronounced it Harkonnens?
Yeah. Of course, I didn't notice it. I was saying Freemen. Oh, the planet. Here's another little nice fact.
They shot that in infrared.
That's fucking dope, dude.
It looked fucking amazing.
This is why you should see the film. Hands down, is a visual feast. It's magnificent.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous from shot 1 to shot 50. You know what I mean?
So, even though I said all that shit about TV, one thing TV, I don't give a shit how big your screen is, will never equate seeing a film as beautifully shot.
Everything with the Harkonnens or Harkonnens, I'm calling them Harkonnens because I like that pronunciation better, and it's from the original movie.
It's not just me. That's where I got it from, right? Harkonnen. Okay.
Yeah. I like the Harkonnens. Everything with the Harkonnens is great. I fucking love every moment they're on the screen. They are awesome, and they are great bad guys. Geety Prime was dope looking. I love how the oil fireworks that they shoot off look fucking amazing. Like,
now my kid did a little bit of research. He said that is it because their atmosphere is so polluted that when they shoot a firework it ignites the atmosphere or something like that?
Well, I know that their atmosphere is extremely polluted, and I assume that their sun is some kind of like pulsar or some sort of really white sort of sun. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's an extremely polluted planet.
Got it.
Austin Butler's fucking amazing. Like,
that kid's got the goods. He's got it. He's going places.
Yeah, he's definitely got it. So he was about to do another movie,
I heard this.
And they asked him, please don't shave your head. And so they had to put a prosthetic on him that started at his eyelids and went over his eyebrows and covered his entire head. And he said it was an extremely long process.
Like 3 to 5 hours, I think he said.
Yeah, because it being off by like a millimeter would mean he like couldn't close his eyes properly and it wouldn't look right. Like, it was crazy.
I wonder what that movie was.
And yeah. It was called the Bike Riders or something. I don't know.
Oh, was it that movie? That's like a small indie. You could tell them to go fuck off.
Well, the director specifically asked him not to shave his head, and
whatever.
Well, but
I'm Denis Villeneuve. Suck my French balls.
Yeah. You know what I will say though? I felt like the childlike Empress.
Bastian!
I don't know, man. Like, I felt like everything with the Emperor was just kind of whatever. I didn't like that they just had him, like, you see him and her in like this little courtyard that's very intimate. I thought it would have been nicer to see it a little bit more grand. I wanted to see more grandeur with the Emperor.
You wanted the Emperor's throne room from Jedi or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to. There were so many things in this. I wanted to see the spacing guild. You know what I mean? I wanted to see the mutants like transporting people, like folding space. I wanted to see all these things. But instead we got the fucking sand walking. You know what I mean?
Well, like in the Lynch version, you meet the Emperor after a long fucking exposition, right? But what are those those creatures in the tubes?
Those are the Spacing Guild navigators. They use their minds from decades and centuries of using spice. They're able to use their minds to fold space to bring ships from one place in the galaxy to another. They were fucking cool. And I remember seeing them and thinking it was fucking dope. Like, that made me so intrigued with the movie when I saw that. Like, I wanted to know what was going to happen next because it had this crazy fucking alien in it.
We have just folded space from X.
Yes? How was your journey?
Many machines on X. New machines.
Oh? Yes?
Better than those on Bridges. You are transparent. I see many things. I see plans within plans. I see 2 great houses. House Atreides, House Harkonnen feuding. I see you behind it.
That's world building.
And dogs everywhere. Yeah, that was one meme I saw. The one thing Dune Parts 1 and 2 were missing were battle pugs. And then it shows a shot of Patrick Stewart running around with his little pug in his arm shooting people from the first movie.
Shit, I don't remember that.
Battle pugs. Yeah, man. You gotta.
Was that part of the book too? Like
No. It wasn't in the book. It was just David Lynch being weird. But
well, I wonder, Mike, because you're right. Like with the Emperor and Christopher Walken, he's meeting with Florence Pugh. They're like in a garden that could have been filmed down in Irvine or
exactly.
Like one of
I could make that garden in my backyard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I wonder if they didn't want to go too sci-fi to alienate the audience, right?
Which I thought was a bad mistake.
I mean, the way they did it was nice. I
don't mind not being sci-fi, but I felt like they should have gone more. I wanted more grandeur. He's the emperor of the known universe.
It would have been a good tease for the third one, because I assume the third one, we open it up beyond, because the conflict on Dune is pretty much over. We open it up.
No, you never go to any other planet. You're always on Dune.
Even in
I mean, except for like a couple things when you're like showing other characters, like before shit happens on Dune.
That's what I mean. Like, if the second book is now going to be the broader conflict, like there's
no. The conflict's over by the second book.
I know, but I'm saying he's emperor. Paul is now emperor of everything,
right?
Which would mean emissaries will be coming to him, kissing his feet or whatever.
Sure.
And then there's plot and machinations. We would see more of the weirder universe. You know what I mean? Like if they had like a couple scenes of that here, like with the emperor, there would be a nice little tease of what's to come. How
absolutely
bizarre or sci-fi or different.
I don't even need it to be like that different. I just wanted it to feel like he didn't feel like the emperor of the known universe. He felt like, an
old dude, just kind
grandpa tending to his tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like
it's fucking Don Corleone.
Yeah.
Running around with oranges in his mouth.
And guess what? That only works because you've seen the rest of the movie and the fucking shit that he controls. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't seen him at all at this point. And you just see him once, like in this fucking, I don't know. I thought it was a misstep, personally.
Here's a big thing, and it's not even a critique. So his sister, she was born in the book, right? She came out.
I don't know if she was born in the book.
I know in Dune 84, she was born, and it was so cool to see this little girl with the fucking, the adult wisdom. And because I knew the Lynch version, and I don't remember what was in the book, first I was like, oh man, I guess she's not going to be born, because I want to see a little girl. But her talking to her in the womb was fucking great. And I think she talked through her sometimes when the voice doubled.
It seemed like it. Well, sometimes when the voice doubled, it might be that she's using the voice, because if she uses the voice, then it has that weird sort of tone.
Is that the weirding way? That's from the first, because they use that term, the weirding way.
If I remember correctly, it's like a type of fighting, which I always thought it was funny how they like turned it into these guns in the
chalk. Oh, choker.
Which when I found out that wasn't in the book, I was a little disappointed. I thought
it was cool when I saw it.
I always thought they were dope, dude.
Words are bullets. You know what I mean? Like,
and then when he says, "Oh, Moadib," and then like Moadib shoots, he's like, "Oh, his name is a fighting word," you know. Dude, I fucking love. We should review we're already kind of reviewing the original Dune.
Yeah, but I'm down, man. Because I'll say, he's Baron Harkonnen to me. I like the one in 84.
He was good.
I forget the actor's name, but how he portrayed him, and he was like so repulsive.
I will have Arrakis back for myself. He who controls the spice controls the universe. And what Pita did not tell you is we have control of someone who is very close to Duke Leto. This person, this traitor, will be worth more to us than 10 legions of Sardaukar.
And who is this traitor?
I won't tell you who the traitor is or when we'll attack. However, the Duke will die before these eyes, and he'll know that it is I than Vladimir Harkonnen, who encompasses his doom.
He was great, creepy and gross and sweaty and
with boils and
yeah.
Is that? I'm asking you, like you're the fucking expert. Is that closer to how he was represented in the book?
I don't remember. But I do. One of the scenes that I loved from the Lynch movie is when he how all the servants on that planet have these heart plugs, and he just decides one time to pop this one person's plug and watch her bleed out to death. I was like, oh shit, this is fucking crazy.
Yes, servants are like living Slurpee machines that he could just bathe in their blood whenever he wants.
Exactly.
And Skarsgård, the way he portrayed him, it may have been more grounded, understated, but it wasn't as fun.
It wasn't as fun.
He was over the top and a cackling villain in the...
But I did like the scene when Fade is in the arena and he only drugs 2 of his opponents.
Yeah, that was nice.
And the look and he's like, happy birthday nephew.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He then Fade looks up and he realizes oh, you didn't fucking drug this one, you motherfucker, are you trying to get me killed?
Yeah.
And then
this is for show.
He's like, fuck it, and he takes off the fucking shield and fights him, and it's just oh, that's, and it's so funny. He's like, dude, I did it. It's I knew you'd be fine, bro. I wanted to give you a little bit of fun. You know, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. You know, I thought that was a fun little moment.
But tonight, you're a hero. My gift to you.
I ought to drown you in that tub.
Don't be hasty. I have another gift for you. A bigger one. Heracus.
What about Rabban?
He has failed to protect spice production. Rabban will be reassigned. Tame Heracus' fate. Free the spice. I'll make you emperor.
I feel like the funnest parts were with the villains. You know what I mean?
Did you notice Austin Butler? I believe he said this in an interview too. He imitated Stellan Skarsgård speech patterns.
Yeah, I actually did notice that.
Yeah.
I did notice that, and I thought it was really good. You know what I realized? The Beast Rabban is just a bitch, dude. That fool's always running away. At the end, he's running away and shit. And is Dave Bautista, is he just a mouth breather? Or is that just his character? Because that fool never closed his mouth. He was always just
I didn't notice that. Yeah. They looked at David's head and was like, what can we do to make him more alien-like?
Yeah, exactly.
And someone said, light him.
He is fucking weird, dude.
That guy, boy. I think you said it. Did you say it in the Knives Out? It's he's got no skull. It's just brain. Skin covered brain.
Right. That's exactly it.
His head looks like the sands of Arrakis, blowing rivets.
He did, well, if he played fucking Thanos, he would just he'd have the ball sack chin, the ball sack head.
Exactly. They would take a mold of his head for his chin.
Exactly.
Perfect symmetry.
Oh man,
it was weird how he turned into a straight up little bitch.
Yeah,
I get him being defeated, but him running away I don't know. I didn't mind it, but it was an interesting choice to do that. But I will say the 84 climax, the music was just I just remember that epic fucking
music. Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
I love.
What the fuck are you? Wah wah.
Yeah, that was the pull it up, dude. You'll hear exactly.
You talking about that?
But it also had the low notes as well. It was the low notes, and then it would bring in the high notes afterwards.
In post, I'll combine our two to see if I can recreate it. I'll layer it. I'll give that a go.
But also the fucking still suits in the first movie looked fucking dope. I'm sorry, but the original Dune movie is way way better than people give it credit for.
It's fun, man. And it leans into the weird and the sci-fi hard.
Yeah.
Like none of that feels, if anything, it doesn't feel grounded ever. And I'm fine with that.
Which I'm happy about. Like,
yeah,
it's such an epic world. Like, it feels epic without telling you that it's epic. You know what I mean? It just is epic. You know, that, like, it's exactly what I want from an epic film. Like, I want it to just feel epic. I don't want you to tell me it's epic.
It makes no qualms. Like, it'll have a fucking weird alien thing in a giant aquarium. So fucking what? Like, catch up.
Yeah.
Right? You know, don't ask questions, go with it. Which is nice because that just means this is the world.
Exactly.
For them, there's nothing unusual about that. But for us, we're discovering. And then every scene is a discovery. Every like new location is a discovery. I think they ground it on purpose so people can relate to it. But what you lose is like the fun.
That elevated sci-fi coolness. I will say some of the ships looked really cool. Like, I did like the Emperor's ship when it shows up and stuff. And there were things I really liked about it.
And there were good choices because if your direction is going to be, we don't want the sci-fi to dominate the story and the sci-fi to become the story.
I think it's a bad decision. Yeah. Like, me personally, I want the sci-fi to be front and center. That's my thing.
But if that's their goal, they achieved it really well. They handled it very well. Where you had like the ships, the dragonfly ships or whatever.
Oh, well, the ornithopters that was straight out of the book.
Right. And
I'm happy they did that.
And they embraced that. So that's a weird, you know.
And I'm happy they did that because that was one of the things I didn't like about both the miniseries and Dune 84 was they were just these weird little repulsor ships in those movies and that show. This one, it really showed the ornithopters as these big little dragonfly guys.
Yeah, they look almost like a merging between organic and machine.
Yeah.
Did the shields... I felt like the shields kind of fell away. They were a bigger deal in Dune 84, but like the shield thingy.
Well, you couldn't see the shields in like they would like come on and then you wouldn't see it.
But wasn't there an effect though when you hit them, like you missed and you hit?
Yeah, and it would still and it happened in this. It happened in both of them.
And like the final battle and shit like that, was it happening or?
Yeah, it was.
All right, maybe I missed it. Maybe I wanted a giant Roblox like style like shield, like
the original. Yeah. My favorite parts with the shield was Duke Leto bites the poison tooth and breathes out the poison gas. Like, you see the shield like trying to block the gas from getting through.
In part 1 of this version?
In part 1. And then, the Baron like flies away and stuff. But I thought that was a really cool touch.
It's so egregious they left this out. So, in the original Fade had that awesome leather jockstrap. And you look at Sting in that fucking... Sting was amazing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the bad guys in the original, like, Fade in this one was a bad guy, but it was a conservative... Like, he had bald head and whatever, but Sting is like, fuck you. I got like orange hair or whatever, and walking around in an eagle. Looks like it's an eagle jockstrap.
Fucking jockstrap. Him and the guy from a pirate movie should hang out.
The thing about the Harkonnens in that their 84 version, it looks like at any time they'll bend you over and fuck you in the ass. Man or woman. You know what I mean? Like, just
or
visiting.
Animal.
Yeah, or animal. Like, they felt way more vicious and deadly and dangerous. And like, fucking hedonistic, just like savage and
they were gross.
Yeah.
84
is in my heart. And I don't know if it's because
I will always love that one.
Or, you know what I mean?
Like, it has Patrick Stewart in it. I mean, that's an automatic plus in my book.
Patrick Stewart, with a still bald, but with the
bald
shaggy mullet.
Yeah.
I saw just like a few days ago, Patrick Stewart was talking about Dune 84, and he said he wasn't supposed to be in that movie. They cast him, but they thought he was somebody else.
No way.
They literally I wasn't the actor they thought they cast.
That's fucking amazing.
I guess he just shows up and said, well, let's run with it. Fuck it.
Oh, we're not going to get that guy now.
Lynch at that point is like, fuck it. Everything's going off the rails. Whatever. The janitor, you want to be in this fucking movie?
Give him a pug. Just put a pug in his hands. It'll make everything okay.
Oh, no, Stewart's like, I really think I should have a pug. Whatever, Patrick. Yeah. Whatever the fuck you want. Just hit your mark, okay? Studios crawling my ass.
I always hit my mark.
First fucking guy.
Oh, now he's Sean Connery.
I can't do a Patrick Stewart. I could do a Sean Connery though.
I really liked seeing him ride the worm for the first time. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole thing. There's so many cool things about this movie that I thought were cool. Like I liked when they were like attacking the different, spice like machines and stuff, and there was just a lot of cool stuff in it. I just didn't feel compelled. Yeah, we didn't get any more throat singing Sardaukars. Like I felt like the Sardaukar army were not as badass. They didn't come off as badass as they did in the first movie. Like in the first movie, like when you first see the Sardaukar army and they're like bleeding people at the altar and shit, like it's fucking crazy. Like it's a
wait. Which one's the Sardaukar? Which ones?
Those are the Emperor's army.
Oh yeah, we only see them at the battle when they're getting slaughtered, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And in the first movie, like they were badass, dude. When they first introduce them, and you hear them doing that like throat singing thing. I mean, there's just like I don't know.
I wish Paul had more violently killed the Baron.
Yeah.
Wasn't his head fucking chopped off? I don't think it was Paul that did it. I think they changed it to his sister. I seem to recall the Baron's head was like lopped off and like
in the first movie?
Yeah, like at the end when they
I don't remember them
she stuck something
she
in
runs
him,
up and sticks him
like a balloon. He started losing air and flew out through the window and flew into a sandworm's mouth. I remember. See, that's fun. That's a good kill there, dude.
Exactly. I will say that the sandworms in the new Dune are a little odd looking, in my opinion. Like
sandworm design?
Yeah, I don't know.
They look like giant assholes.
I know.
I said that when I saw the first movie, like in the trailer, like, oh, that's a giant asshole. Okay, we're going to go there with it. It may be accurate in terms of science, but hey guys, it's science fiction. We could take some liberties, right? Like, I don't know.
I mean, in terms of science, like what science do you, I mean, come on now.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they look better like some real worms and use that as a model. I like the ones in the original where in '84 where they had like beaks, like an actual mouth.
Right, yeah, me too.
Because I think if you root something in a physiology that you can understand, it makes it more threatening. Like we all get what a snapping mouth and maw can do.
Exactly.
But a big giant asshole sucking in and farting out, whatever. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of the design, but what am I? A gob on a stick. Who cares what I think?
Exactly.
Wait, you didn't have to agree. Jesus. Exactly. You're nothing.
Yeah, you are nothing. This movie would definitely have a laundry meter if I was watching it at home.
Yeah.
Let me just say that. I'd probably be at least a load, maybe two, just because of the length. You know what I mean?
I can tell you one thing. I saw the first one once, and that was enough. And I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it at home. I don't have a burning desire to rewatch any of this.
Right.
I'll probably see YouTube clips when it's released and probably the Harkonnen scenes with Austin Butler. But, who wants to rewatch the fucking sand walking? I mean, I'm sure some people will. And I'm not shitting on that, right?
Bunch of fucking super fans like sand walking into the theater to watch it when they re-release it in a year before the Oscars.
And I'm telling you, man, at the end of the day, I love it because I rather the next generation is inspired. Denis going to inspire a whole new generation of filmmakers.
I agree with that.
That start from a really good place.
And I love sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like the more sci-fi movies come out, the better, in my opinion.
But there's probably more action-packed, visceral sci-fi books that have just as good merit as Dune that have thought, well, that'll never make money. This proves that people will sit through a lot of backstory, a lot of world building. They don't need explosions every 3 minutes. And we need an injection of smart cinema. And I'm happy that science fiction is the vessel for this. Because as much as I love superhero movies, there's been a dumbing down and a bar lowering. You know, even Marvel has kind of lowered their bar. You know what I mean? Like, throw some good laughs in there and then the world's at stake and then it's not. The end. Right. Next movie, the world's at stake again. Like, who gives a shit after a while?
Right.
Like, I think people are hungry for a cinematic experience that's new and fresh that makes them care. And I'm happy that this movie resonated with people.
Hell yeah.
Want to rate it, man?
Yeah, I want your rating. What's your rating, buddy?
I think I'll give Dune Part 2. Look, the technique, like, it is a fucking glorious looking movie. Well made, well acted.
Can't argue with that.
I'll give it a 4 pulsating worm asshole mouths out of 5.
I think I kind of want to give it 2 ratings, tell you the truth. My brain rating and my heart rating.
Do it. But go for it. There's no rules.
But in order to do that, I'm actually gonna just split it down the middle between those two.
All right.
And I'm gonna give it a 3.5 little person wrestling a baby sandworm to drown it to death out of 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
So if you would like to support this show, keep us going, keep us rolling along, uploading content, you can support us by going to patreon.com/baldguysbadmovies and donate to the show. We're going to use those funds to make sure we can see any movies that you guys want to see and getting our studio set up so we can start recording video and doing these not just audio but also video on YouTube. And once a month, we will pick a patron to choose a movie for us to review. And we'll review it. We'll dedicate it to you. But either way, we just hope you enjoy the show and keep on coming back.
Can't wait to see Dune 2, eating popcorn out of my bucket. Then I take it home and